Hey, hi there, guys. Warren here down in Queen Kapiolani Park in Waikiki on the island of Oahu. And I just came down to kind of kill some time because today is my wife's birthday and I just dropped her off for a spa afternoon. And so I had some time and I thought I'll come down to the park and check out the activities. It's a Saturday too, so a lot of soccer games going on with the kids off to my left, and there's some cultural dance practices off to my right out of your shot. So you might hear the drums once they start back up. It's pretty cool though, so you'll enjoy it. But yep, that is the famous Diamond Head in the back, as seen from the park side, not the ocean side. But I was watching the kids and I thought, what can I riff about that applies to our lives? And I thought of the quiet discipline that we all strive so hard to achieve. And then I was relating it to basic training. So I'm now really dating myself because that's a while ago. Drill Sergeant Jackson. um, but I don't think the events that they put us through, as the myth has it, was necessarily all in and of itself to break us and turn us into something or someone else. I think it was more so for us to find that inner peace and that inner discipline to be able to step off in chaotic situations, the chaotic situations that they created. And the reason I'm focusing on that quiet discipline is because one of the things, I'll add something else. My soccer coach used to tell us is to play your position. And I'm sure, like with any other sport, coaches probably say that, but it's significant because of the strategy that is being employed. And often with young minds, we don't understand that. We just know our skill sets and we want to be around the ball. And so I remember coach usually harping on that, play your position. And it's significant because it ties into the broader, like I said, the broader um, strategy. And that bleeds over into the military side. And fortunately for me, I saw and had to practice some of that in combat. And I think that's primarily what our drill sergeants are after, what the military's after, is preparing the mind for that, for those chaotic situations, or preparing us to help to hone our minds to deal with that. And it's a quiet discipline. It's not easy and it's not achievable by everyone. Not all soldiers are trainable, contrary to popular belief, right? Not everyone is trainable. So it doesn't apply, but it applies for the majority. And I and then I wanted to apply that even further. I was like, how does that really apply now? And I know it applies in a lot of little things that I do, like a lot of little things that I do. But one of them being this, that self discipline, the quiet discipline to quiet the voices in our heads, in my head, that those vulnerable voices that says, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's not for you. No one's going to listen to that. No one wants to hear what you say. So the discipline, that self discipline to quiet those voices and the naysayers too, because there will be those. But just to do things like this, to be so confident, to be able to talk to a camera and by extension, strangers who some of you have become my digital friends. And I appreciate you and I appreciate that. But it makes it easier. But at the same time, it's still vulnerable to step off and be that man, that person in the arena and be judged. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I think that is one of the things that I am grateful for in going through um, the rigors of the army, to include army training, and then the 20 years that followed of uniform service. And I still do it today on a contractual basis. I still work with Joes, as we call them, with soldiers. I analyze some tactical training for some guys, but I don't want to get into that. But just the quiet discipline, and I can tie that into anything like going to the refrigerator at 1 in the morning for some water and seeing that slice of chocolate cake, double chocolate cake, sitting there, and knowing that you shouldn't have it, and looking at it and being tempted and walking away, knowing that 3 years earlier you couldn't do that. The slice of pizza, the beer, the another glass of wine, another piece of chocolate, another cigarette, you name it. The quiet discipline to walk away from those things, because it is not easy. We weren't built to fight, and that includes physically and mentally. We weren't built to fight our mental mind loops. We do, and some of us do it better than others, but we weren't built for that, and we weren't built to be at war all the time. We also do that very well, but we weren't built for any of that per se. But so when we have succeeded, when we took that one step, that small win, walking away, closing the refrigerator, and not eating the entire pint of Haagen-Dazs, yours truly, in one sitting. I mean, small wins, but those are from other practices we've done, that internal struggle, that internal building of um, our fortitude to say no. And I've done episodes about saying no, and that no is a complete sentence, as is yes, but we find it a lot harder to say no. But when we start accumulating those small wins, when we can play our position and understand how that applies, playing our position, avoiding the cake, avoiding the vice, so that we're around longer for those that we love. Um, that's what we're creating, is that mental ability to rationalize on the fly and realize that I need to say no because of, and it all happens like that. But as we're building that, we need to be patient with ourselves, that messy middle. We need to be patient with that process, because it comes in any form. I mean, I used basic training and soccer as an example for me, but for you, it could be anything. It could be any little thing that you are working on, that you are struggling with just to get better at. Every time that you succeed, give yourself some credit, man. Give yourself some credit, because building the quiet discipline that gets us to that, dare I say, state of near nirvana is not easy, and it's also not a sprint. It's a marathon. Um, Dr. Arthur Brooks, Mr. Happiness Man, like I like to call him, likes to say that we shouldn't necessarily be seeking to be happy, because it's not a destination, right? It's the messy middle. It's a process. We should be seeking to be happier. So in doing that, I think with all our small wins, as they accumulate and becomes in aggregate larger wins, we should just give ourselves some credit, and be gentle with ourselves. Be gentle with ourselves, because that quiet discipline, it's not easy. It's not easy for soldiers. Like I said, not everyone is trainable. We have people who wash out because their minds cannot get wrapped around the fact that it is stronger than that day. And I used to have a soldier who would tell his battle buddies, it's a term we use for um, the person you would go around everywhere with, because it was a good practice not to go anywhere alone. So we call those people battle buddies. But he used to tell his battle buddies, and he'd say the short version of that is bat. He'd say, bat, the day will end. And I said it in another episode that I used to say when he said that, like, yeah, sure, of course it will. And then I started looking at it a little deeper, a little bit more philosophical. And that wasn't immediate. That took a while because he would say it so often. And clearly, he would say it on days when things were just tough for us. You know, we either lost someone or got hit ourselves or something, someone was going through something. And I would say, yeah, it would. But then I looked at it, and we could stretch that across so many things, because everything that we are dealing with will end. And you say, sure, and it might not be the ending I want, but it will end. And you can either move on or you can wallow. And often we know what we do, but we don't give ourselves any credit. We don't beat ourselves up because, again, we're our worst critics. And rightfully so, we should be, but we should also remember that we only have so much of us to go around. And so we have to take care of ourselves. And part of that is saying, you did well today. You did well today. You got past Drill Sergeant Jackson today. Karen by the water cooler, that narcissistic boss of yours. But when we get home, if we can just look in the mirror and just say, hey, well done. You did well today. You were disciplined today. You didn't react to that knucklehead that cut you off in traffic, or you didn't react in the way you would normally react. You took a breath. You probably said some words of affirmation, some positive words of affirmation. You didn't react to the kids acting up in the back of the car and spilt everything all over the seats and the upholstery. You didn't react. Uh, your spouses being a jerk, be they male jerks, female jerks, and you just don't react. Look in the mirror and give yourself some credit for that, for walking away from the temptation to react negatively and to beat ourselves up. But that takes the quiet discipline to play our position, to play our part in this absurd universe that we call our home. This big rock hurtling through space. But no, seriously, the quiet discipline, because it's a process. You're not going to get there, okay? You'll just keep getting there. And that is all that matters, is showing up. And that's part of what basic training did too for me, is the discipline to show up for others and for me, to show up, because that's not easy. All right, but I'll leave you with that, and I'll step out of your shot and let you just enjoy the birds if you can hear them still, and take a look at Diamond Head. This episode is specifically on location and by design per se for my friend CL. You should check out her art. As you can see on the screen, check out her channel. But this is for her in part, something to munch on, to probably put on canvas. But until our next conversation, folks, you be good out there. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again soon. I'll see you. Whoa. Hey, hi there, guys. Warren here. I am down in Queen I knew I was going to say it wrong. Hey, hi there, guys. Warren here. I am down in Queen Kapiolani.